Hey guys, Batman here. We're making a game on Halloween with evidence. Sorry, that's actually really hard to do. And despite the coolness of the Batman sunglasses I've got on, that actually doesn't make it terribly difficult to see what I'm looking at. So I guess I can keep coding with these on for a little bit at least. Let's Now that my throat needs a little recovery, let me grab some water. Today is essentially going to be eating candy, making games, and letting my voice recover from that intro. I might even make the voice a little bit more once more people get here. You never know. Although I gotta say, I put these things on and I suddenly have the urge to scream out, Harvey Dent, can he be trusted? That's what I get, right? Wearing these things. So, yeah, 3D glasses. I wish these were 3D. That would make life a lot more interesting. No. Whoa, things on my screen are so 3D. Oh, wait, no, that's just... It's an in-game camera, guys. Haha, that's the joke. Alright, so we want to finish what we started yesterday, right? And what we started yesterday was locked doors. Specifically, I walk all the way up to this building and I say, hey, why is this door locked? Well, it's okay, because this guy has, nothing in his inventory that will help us. So we need to fix that. We need to, A, make a key item, and B, allow the key item to be used in such a way that it should be consumed and it should unlock the door forever. Right? Should be pretty simple once we unlock a door like that. Eventually, we might want to make that a little more built out. Say, after you've opened all the doors, we'll throw the key away. Something like that. But for now, one key, one entrance. Simple stuff. And I've got Smarties in large amounts here. So I'll be munching on those all stream, probably. Right, so where we left off. We have a key item. Key items have an unlock code. Now, that's pretty much all the information we need, because inventory item has everything else that we've already got inherited from. So we don't really need to worry about icon or name or description or anything else, because that's going to be something that comes with every item that we make. Excuse me. I feel like I'm going to sneeze. It's like any second now. No, I'm just going to drink water instead. Alright, so key item has an unlock code. Hey, we have create asset menu for key items. We've already kind of got a lot of stuff taken care of. Sorry for the crinkling plastic noises. Just got to get to my sugary sweet drugs that look like little... Sorry, I'm showing them to my monitor as if it matters. Smarties. Oh. They make me smarty. Or smarter. I don't know. And I don't care. So, items. Right click. Create. Key item. And this will be our test key. Item name. Key. Item icon. Crap. We need an icon for it, don't we? And the problem is I don't think we have an icon. I spent a lot of yesterday re-hunting down all my Scratch stuff. So in terms of like game icons that I'm using, I grabbed everything I could, but I have a bad feeling that there's not going to be a key in here, so to speak. And since I'm not really seeing it, I'm going to use this as a default. This X. Just for a, hey, this doesn't have a, whoa. Let's switch that to sprite so that it actually, there we go. It's taken care of correctly. This will just be our default. We don't have something for now. For the icons, it's going to be a little more difficult to find icons that match this style. I might actually go so far as to contact the Ravenmore guys and see if they've got something that I can, like, hey, if I pay you this much money, will you do this for me? Kind of thing. Because it would be nice to have them all match. And I don't know if this is the final style either, but I think it's good enough that I'm kind of happy to go with what I've got. Sell price. We really don't want players to be able to sell a key. It's just, we have to worry about that a little bit. Keys, quest items, other things. If it sells for a negative price, we probably don't want to let you sell it. Just saying. So we'll probably have to add this code in, because I don't think this exists yet. And we'll need an unlock code. So here's our test door, is our unlock code. And also, our navigation blocker. Oh, it already has an unlock code. Great. All we have to do is hunt the sucker down. There it is. You are the test door now. So we have matching codes. We have a lot of other matching stuff. I realize I didn't put the key in his inventory. Sometimes simple things like that just kind of get away from you. Let's give the rogue the key. Seems like a thing you'd give a rogue. Here's our inventory slots. Poor guy doesn't have much else. So we're just going to grab the test key and dump it in his inventory. Can't think of anything else I want to hand him at the moment, so that should be good. Now, final piece of the puzzle. We need to make sure that inside the character window, this is handled correctly. So, I think it's an inventory item UI. I think. Inspect, merge, on equip. What I'm hunting here for is the context menu stuff. That is what I'm hunting for. So where is it? Okay, so we grab the context menu stuff. Okay, and there's just this piece that's attached to the context menu. And what my guess is it calls on use equip when you click on it. Which, okay, that calls the item references on use equip, which for a consumable item, it overrides on use. Oh, I see. No, we're overriding the on use equip inside the class. That makes a lot of sense. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to remove the item from the inventory. We are also going to... I just want to make sure that This seems like a hunk of code that shouldn't be inside the consumable item. If we look at what it does, it finds all the inventory slots, and it actually... Okay, I'm getting rid of these. Sorry. It was great while it lasted. But what it does is it looks through every item, and it says, hey, let's remove the item that matches the one we passed in from the character's inventory. That doesn't seem like something that should be in a character class. In a consumable item class. It feels like that should be something that you can call from inside the character. So why don't we do that? Specifically, since inventory is a player character thing, let's put it in the player character. Alright, do I actually already have a discard item? No. Public void remove item. And all it's going to do is the same thing that the consumable item already does. So we can go to item owner and we can say remove item and just remove it from his inventory. Just want to double check I'm doing this right. Yeah. So it just removes itself from his inventory. Pretty simple and straightforward. Kind of curious what this item UI remove item from inventory is. I always like to double check, make sure I'm not doing anything too insane. Okay, it removes the item from the inventory UI is what it does. So let's quickly rename this. Just so it's obvious what's going on. Okay. I think that's all. I really do. I have a feeling like I should... Okay, I'm also doing the remove item from UI. On use for a key requires a few things. One, we need to check... hey, Fox. Let's see here. So we need to check, first off, if you're in the right place that has a blocker attached. So that actually requires party access. So we grab the grid node that we're attached to, and we say, hey, does there happen to be a navigation blocker here? Easiest and quickest thing we can do to rule that out. So if the blocker is null, surprise, surprise, we just early return. What else? If you're not facing the right way, that could also kill it. So I'm actually going to pull the party out to a party reference, just so I don't keep going back out to the singleton. Makes life a little easier, makes our code a little cleaner. Okay, are we facing the correct direction? So if the direction facing is the same as the blocker's direction, and if it's not true, we can also skip this. We're looking for cases we can rule out. So if you're not standing in the right place, if you're not facing the right way, great. We've solved the two most obvious ones. So I am now standing in place and looking at the object that is blocking us. At this point, it's safe to go forwards. So we should... Oh, there's one more check though. Or the unlock code of this key is not equal to the blocker's unlock code. Pretty obvious thing, right? If this key does not match the lock, the two shouldn't work together. Kind of obvious. But we got to make sure we get all the obvious stuff in, otherwise when the game goes wrong, the player's going to think that, at least I, as a programmer, am an idiot. And I'd rather avoid that if possible. So, if that's the case, great, we can say blocker, you're not blocked anymore. And then we're going to remove the key from the inventory. So there's the item UI doing the removal. Also, the use target, we need to remove the item from their inventory so that obviously it doesn't stick around for a while. I should shave. I did this morning. Look at that. Look at that. It's clean. It's very clean. I don't know. I bounce back and forth on whether or not I actually like this or not. The laziness in me loves this because I don't think I've actually spent time shaving in weeks, which is fantastic. At the same time, part of me is not a huge fan of all this. The girlfriend loves it, so I don't really get a ton of say. But at the same time, you know, it's just one of those things. I take care of it. I keep it clean. It's actually getting to the point where soon it's going to start needing maintenance. And that's when it starts to be bothersome again, because then you start spending more time maintaining it than you would just shaving it off in the first place and keeping yourself clean shaven. I'm a lumberjack. Longer hair and beard shortened one. Yeah, I need to get a haircut. That much is obvious. Yeah. Okay, so let's test this sucker out. Because this should work. Should being the key part of that phrase. So, Rogue, you have, I know it's not a good icon, but it's an icon. It says, what is going on? I believe that is the sound of my phone going off. Excuse me. It's my parents. I better take this. Sorry guys, parents are just high on the priority list. But, hack the Pentagon. Nah, it was hack Steam. Alright, cool. So it worked. Like, that's great. Just want to double check that I didn't leave the door open by accident. Let's just quickly run up the stairs. Okay, it's locked. I grab you. I say, hey buddy, you happen to have this X, which is when I click equip a key. And then I can go in. So, couple things. One is, that should not say equip. I would like it to say use. I know I have another case where it actually says something else. So, I just need to find that spot where the code is different. Okay, if it's not a consumable item, and it's not a key item. At this point, actually, no, I'm gonna leave it like this for now. Eventually, I'm gonna switch this over, because the only things you can equip are gear. So it actually should just say, if it's a weapon item, if it's a weapon item, or armor is gonna be a thing eventually, but it's not right now. So I'm just gonna put a giant block comment here. But we get the point. We get the gist of what's going on. It's not that bad. It's actually pretty friggin' awesome that it works so well. Cool, so keys work. I kind of wish I had a key icon, but for now, whatever. And that didn't take us too long. That's actually, we pulled that in just under a half hour. Granted, there was some pre-existing work that had already been done, so it's not all that bad. So I've got something else I want to play with today, specifically a content-related thing. Most of the time when you buy assets from the Unity store, they come with everything you need. And when I talk about everything you need, I'm talking animators, and all the code is in the right place, and it's got prefabs already made for you. Sorry, opening up more drugs. And by drugs, I mean Smarties, because that stuff is like just as good. So when you buy something from the Unity store, it's all formatted and shiny and pretty. I got something that wasn't from the Unity store today, and I want to check in on how this works. I need to actually do a full pipeline from end to end on some of this. So, for example, I've got, let's use a grunt, because I don't remember what any of these look like. Kate, are you linking me keys? It looks like you're linking me keys. I'll leave it for now. We'll fix it later, I promise. So I've got a bunch of demons that I want to import into the game. So I'm going to start with the obvious stuff. And I actually haven't done this before, so this is going to be a bit of an adventure. Actually, before we do anything, these work, right? So let's commit this. Let's actually take care of this, because otherwise this is going to be a little silly. Okay. Things to keep in mind. VS folders. Don't care about. These we do want. Navigation blockers, navigation toggles, the X PNG. The scratch folder should be on the ignore list. And I think that's about it. I'm going to leave this cache out of here for now. In fact, I'm going to delete it. Just because I don't need money to show up in the UI quite yet, or I don't want it to show up quite yet. We'll get there eventually, but we don't want to start like throwing assets in that we're not using yet. Feature keys, navigation blockers and toggles. Oh my. Cool. If there's anything I've learned from my hard disk dying, it is simply that I really need to remember to commit all the time. Otherwise, I lose a ton of progress, and then I have to do a stream about a stream I've already done, and it's not that fun or interesting, and that's when things go downhill. So, I'm going to toss the demon grunt in here. We're going to have to figure out how to get him all tied together. Because unlike before, where somebody did all the string tying for us, this time we kind of have a little looser look for all this. We have animations all built into FBX files. We even have this like nice list. Okay, from this frame to this frame is spawn, this frame to this frame is idle. We have all this stuff. Interesting. So it's not going to be too difficult to take care of this. All the pieces are here for the art. It's mostly just the getting everything else put together. Cool. And, okay. Looks like everything is here. Oh, there's a Unity scale. Interesting. They must have realized that a lot of their users were taking care of Unity stuff and trying to do that. Maya could not be found. That's because I don't have Maya installed. Nice try though, Unity. Okay. Models. Here's our demon grunt. And under... Okay, he looks... Oh, interesting. The file scale is incredibly different. Here we have a file scale of 1 on the Unity set, and on the standard demon grunt, he's actually a 0.01 file scale, which means he's going to be tiny. So let's actually use the one that we care about, because size, as it turns out, size does matter. Although I do want to... Really? Game? You're going to leave that in my scene? Okay, let's dump him in the scene. And where is he? Hey, buddy. Where'd you go? Are you there? Interesting. Well, he's here somewhere, I promise. It's just, I have no idea where he is. Do I have to scale him up? Okay. Scaling him up to 10 times is a little overkill. Maybe he's just under the ground? Ah, he is. Holy heck, he's huge. Like, look at that. If I start the game, he will... Yeah. Also, he's got a sheen to him. Notice the way that the light bounces off of him. He's using a shader that is making him look different than the world around him. So we need to remove that as well. Question is, where is everything on him? Okay, so he's got a... I love how the front flap is a separate piece than everything else. Can I just, like, remove it? What happens if I... Nope, I can't. Okay. Well, let's at least take care of this stupid shader issue. Because he is way too shiny. He does not look like he's in the right place at all. Now, we could attempt to fix this by removing some of the smoothness. You'll notice how that takes that edge off of him. He stops being quite so shiny. I'm not a huge fan of that. I'm actually just going to switch him over to one of the legacy shaders that we've been using for this stuff. And suddenly he looks like he fits in the world a lot better. Now, he's still, monstrous. That's right, I went there. So maybe we want to bring him down in size a little, because if he is going to be that size, that means everything else in the world is going to be absolutely insanely huge. So I'm going to apply the scaling, the actual model, and then allow it to do, still a little underground, but I actually like this a lot better. Oh no, he's on the ground. He's not actually fallen through it like I thought he had. Interesting. Okay. It's 3, 2, sure. He actually looks kind of short now. Which might not be the worst thing ever. Let's crank him up slightly and then move on. At least for now. 0.75. Okay, maybe not crank him up that much. A little too much steroids for the demon. There we go. He is now slightly taller than the party. That's fine. The way you can tell height is essentially whatever's at the center line as you get close to it. That is camera height. And we want to make sure that if something is bigger than camera height, that they act like it. As opposed to the bats and the wolves that we've already put in so far, where you'll notice that they're way below camera height, and that's for a specific reason. Okay, so we've got all the right pieces are actually already attached to him. I don't like light probes, so we'll leave that turned off. And somewhere here, we'll have to actually attach a... It looks like they've actually already got this, but they're missing the controller, which is really bizarre. Oh well, we'll just have to create a new controller for him, I guess. Out of the animations, I'm kind of curious if there's anything in here. Wow, he's got... They gave me way too many files. I don't mind having too many, but it's kind of weird to have so many. Okay, so I'm going to look through something that exists already and then try and make the demon match, because we have models that we know work already. If I go in here and pull out something like, say, let's pull out the wolf. I like the wolf's makeup. He's got a good setup inside of his system, and we want to make sure that he matches the wolf somewhat. I'm gonna go with the purple wolf. No, come here. There we go, buddy. All right. So, let's start in on the sucker's controller, because that's the first thing that I noticed that is off track. If you look at the difference, the wolf starts in an idle pose. He is in what's known as a T pose. where essentially arms are out and it makes for much easier movement and animation. T-poses are great for animators. Usually if a character is in a T-pose, it tends to mean that they're not animating at all, or that something's wrong to a programmer. Not always the case, but from what I've seen, right? We're not talking about the 100% of the time, we're talking about just the sometimes. So, we've already got the avatar attached, so all we have to do, and I can't help but notice that certain things are turned on for some and not others, so I'm going to try and make these match as best as I can. Okay, so we just need an animation controller for this guy. Daemon animations, right click, animator controller. Great. This will be our daemon controller, our daemon grunt controller. And this thing starts out pretty basic, but if we look at the wolves, for example, and in fact, I'm just going to switch this guy to use his daemon grunt controller. If we look at his in comparison, empty, right? Empty is bad. I'm going to make myself some space. Open this up a little so I have room to work. So, our forest wolf has entry into an idle state. One of the most straightforward things you can do. Entry into an idle state usually is either some kind of spawn, or if you don't have a spawn, it's just an easy way to get you into a looping animation. There's also a lot of parameters in this guy, but that is fine. So, you create a state. Let's actually see. I think there's a way for us to create states out of these FBX files. Backpedal, die, enrage. There should be a spawn state in here. And that's what we want to start with. Hey, here it is. Can I just dump this in here? Yeah, I can. Of course I can. Okay, so spawn. So it immediately goes into spawning, and from spawning, it will immediately go into idle. That's the next one we need to find. There's his idle. Make a transition between this and idle, where idle is going to loop. This is not going to have anywhere to go, at least normally. Now the question is, how do we loop? Because this is on the list of things I don't know. And it looks like if we have, I don't see anything in here to suggest that idle has a transition with itself or anything else weird like that. So my guess is going to be that without anything there, it will idle onto itself. Let's just see how that looks, because that's attached to him, but not running. Hey buddy, what's going on? Why aren't you doing anything? Okay, let's look at the differences here. So the wolf has an avatar. It also has all these rigged up parts. And then it's got the actual skinned mesh. Let's actually look at the wolf that we have. So the skinned mesh is actually one step below the animator. Now that seems to be how we've got ours set up. If we actually look at our character, here's all the bones that he's made up of. And here's our skinned mesh. And it has a bone and it's got the root mesh attached to it. So this looks fine. The question becomes, what's wrong? Why am I... not seeing any change attached to this. This is why I'm trying to figure this out now. Green PK is asking, what kind of game developer am I? I am primarily a programmer. You'll find that most everything I do is either code-based, or at least that's where my strongest points are, and my backup is always designer. Designer is definitely a large step backwards, but I'm proficient enough in code that I tend to be able to make up with a lot of the other stuff pretty easily. If I wish I were an animator. I wish I could actually do 3D models a lot better than I know I can. You have the forest. Quality auto. Quality auto. Okay, I'm looking for differences between these guys. Looking for something that would account for why I don't see a lot of this happening. Why I don't see as much movement as I kind of wish I did. And it has this thing called rig, which is never used anywhere as far as I can tell, which is bizarre. Quality auto update went off. I'm curious if his animator is not. Does that? And then at the end of idle, it's not actually doing anything. Look at that. It is trying to do something. So it says, okay, we should spawn, we should idle. Oh, look at that. There it goes again. Is it because I like clicked on it? Interesting. Okay. Let's look at some of the properties of this stuff because we do need to take care of this. In comparison to the wolf, what's different? So if we look at the wolf's, let's say we look at its idle. We have a loop time, we have a loop pose. Definitely stuff we care about. Everything else looks pretty clean. This is an FBX file. Station error is defined as okay. And if we look at this guy's animation, let's see, where's his idle? So we loop this pose, that much is certain. But we're not seeing him move. We're not seeing him do anything. That's the part that's getting to me, is that the differences between these two when it comes to apply. If it comes to the idle animation here, okay, we have a mask. Here's the transform for all the parts that this animation moves. That's fine. I can't mess with the curves. There aren't any events. There's no root motion node. And there's no import messages. So what am I missing? What part of this is not generic? Create from this model. Actually, if we look at the wolf itself, the actual prefab that's attached to this, or maybe, sorry, not even the prefab, the standard FBX file. No, I mean, root node is marked as forest wolf, which if we look at this, there it is. Is his not marked correctly? Let's double check. Models. This thing. Oh, his root node's not marked. That could cause us trouble. Let's try, I think it's Demon Grunt. So that might have been it. It's not pointed at the right spot, therefore it's causing him all kinds of pain and trouble and issues. No, that's not it. Unless his is not set either. Although that seems unlikely, doesn't it? Hmm. Oh gosh, you guys have been talking in chat. Sorry. Green PK also asking, why did I choose to become a programmer? What made it my passion? Programming's been a joy of mine for quite some time. My dad was a programmer. I liked the kind of control that comes with programming is definitely a lot of fun. And so just kind of to go with that, I enjoyed making things, and I found that the thing I could create the most with was programming. It's sometimes difficult to create with something more along the lines of animating or just designing, you know. And it's also a great backup. So I can sit here, I can code games in my free time, and it doesn't bother my job. My actual 9 to 5 is programming. And if I decide I want to program games as a job, or I just want to program anything else, it's not going to make a huge difference, which is pretty freaking awesome. I do not want to animate. Like, seriously, he just, like, doesn't... What is going on that's causing him not animate correctly? Okay, you say your root node is that. That makes sense. The question is, what's different about something like the wolf when I import it or when I try and actually do the work here? Okay, FBX file. Rig is generic. Create that, that's fine. We import blend shapes on it. If we look at the animation, it says import animation and that no animation data is available, which is really interesting. But then we have all the animation files that are... I just realized something. Here's all of our animations for this guy. If I take all his animation, one thing to note is that the scale is different. So let's fix that for all of these. Maximus the Greatest, do I know why when you hit play in Unity it says all the compiler errors must be fixed before entering play mode, but there's no errors showing in Visual Studio? Sometimes that can kick in when you have a difference in versions. So Unity doesn't use all of .NET. It uses a subset of the .NET framework. Chances are you either have something enabled that Visual Studio knows how to compile, but Unity doesn't, or you might just be desynced between the two, so you'll have to close down Unity and Visual Studio and start them both back up. Unfortunately, I don't know which is which. But good luck. Okay. Other thing to note, all of the animations have root node marked as none. Let's just double check this as well. No, these have root node marked as none as well. So there's no... Gosh, this is boggling my mind. What is going wrong here? Why is... His animation controller is clearly running. If we look at this, here he goes, you know, like off to the races. And now he should be stuck in an idle animation that is controlling his model. And yet he's just standing there. It's like he doesn't quite... Okay, let's look at the differences between these animators. Maybe there's something to keep in mind here. Curves, positions, rotations, scales. Okay. Look at you. It also has numbers. Wish I could extrapolate more information from that, but nope. The extrapolation is, yes, there are numbers here. Congratulations, Rob. You've figured out there are numbers. He doesn't think he's off screen. That's fine. That's actually as I would expect it to be. I'm really curious what I might be missing. He should be, according to this, in an idle animation. Interesting that I have this one orange that goes to all the grays. And if we look at, if I can find it, if we look at the animator for this guy, he's actually stuck in a gray. Almost as if they expect this to be his spawn animation. Green PK saying, yeah, I'd like to do game developing, but at the same time, engineering, technology, and innovation, because physics is kind of my favorite class in school. What would you say is the key difference between general coding and game coding? Not much, honestly. The big differences come from the knowledge of information that you happen to have. So, for example, game programmers tend to know how to make things work in a fairly quick fashion. They also tend to understand the game engines that they work with better. So the code you work with is going to be structured in a certain way. And understanding that structure is really going to be part of what helps you look at code and just understand it all around. Versus folks who are more general coders will probably understand a different set of architecture better, but that doesn't mean you can't do both. I worked for years as a bunch of different things. I first started by porting games, then I worked on code architecture for a while at one company. I then switched over and did reverse engineering of Steam for a while, and then I went back into making games. You can kind of go all over the place if you have the right knowledge of programming. It doesn't lock you to game programming if you happen to know how games work. It's just another specialization, we'll call it, of programming. Okay, so why isn't this causing my dude to do anything? That's one of my issues. Okay, you say that your root bone is there. You say, okay, first off, who owns what information? So the model itself understands its mesh and its root bone. And the root bone is this pelvis, which then goes out to everything else. The demon grunt understands his mesh, and this character hips is his root bone, which also makes sense. maybe his idle animation is the T-pose. That would be hilarious, because I would be doing something incredibly stupid if that was the case. Let's look at his actual animations. So the first thing I note is that all of these animations, let's make this a lot larger, and how do I bring this up? Come on, be nice with me. There we go. Let's make that larger. So, aside from the completely broken normals on this, we'll just disregard those for a moment. Where's the play button? Oh, animations. There it is. So, okay, that's what our spawn should look like. Holy heck. This thing is broken as all get out. Material search. Don't import materials. Almost. Maybe. So, okay, aside from terrible normals, we'll just have to ignore those. So we know he's got a spawn animation, and that looks like an idle animation. Let's glance at these real quickly. So I can't help but notice that all the animations don't actually have model data attached to it, it looks like. So there might be an issue there. The way we handled the import might be wrong. Because if there's no model information, we have no way to attach things like controllers and all the other pieces of the puzzle that might otherwise make sense. It also looks like, if I look at the root node of this, there's a root M, and it goes to everything else, and that is different from everything else in here. Because we'll note, once again, he has some level of information clearly here. Wow. A bunch of broken information, it looks like. Because if I can figure it out for this one, I can then figure it out for all the rest. This shouldn't be hard for us to really set down. He's got some great animations. I mean, that's the reason I picked this, is that they looked good. But my worry was this exact thing would happen. I have no idea how I would actually tie it all together. I know the information is all here. The question becomes, how do I tile this information together? Now, I can say import animation here, but that doesn't really help me, because if we look at all the stuff that's in here, it has a generic animation, but the animation information doesn't actually look like it's stored with everything else. Clearly, this is just mesh data, and that's fine. That's actually really easy to understand. Moldy Moss is saying, on your rig, it's set to general, so shouldn't it be human, or am I not using Mecanum? I'm not planning on using Mecanum. Mecanum has a lot of little fiddly bits when it comes to control that is great for IK stuff and great for procedural animations. But I'm not so much into procedural animations. I've got a lot of pre-made animations, so I don't really care a ton about getting him all hooked up that way. Okay, let's try something. If I have, here's my model, and I know I'm going to have animations for that model. How do I get this to load in everything else? Or is there some way that I can get the animation data to not load in through here, but to load it in using a different method? The problem is they're Maya files, so I can't just like crack it open and I am going to download Blender now that I think about it, because I just realized I don't have a copy of Blender to use. Kind of painful and unfortunate, but how it goes. Blender, I would just like to download you. Very much. Oh, whoops. Because my thought is if I can crack it open with Blender and at least look at the innards, maybe it'll help me understand what's going on here. Get the installer out of the way. Load the rig as human and then drag the animations onto it. Okay, I'll give it a try. I'm not too terribly sure about this, but it seems to have detected, it looks like, most of the body controls on this. So it clearly has the skeleton. Let's see here. Where is our idle animation? Because we're pretty sure at this point that idle is not... Okay, this is actually the get hit from front. I have a feeling this is not what I want. Go back to our good old-fashioned other scene. Because, yeah, I don't think that's what I'm hunting for at all. Hey, buddy, we're back. You aren't behaving. I guess my other thought is maybe the one that's Unity scaled might be incorrect. If we look at some of the other ones here, maybe they'll have... Nope, you don't have animations attached. Ah, but you do. Oh, hello. Okay, I think this is going to be the guy we end up using. So, sorry, you. Get out of here. You, who has all the animations attached already, we're just going to make a few modifications and drag him into the scene. Let's see here, -3, 2, or 1. That puts him somewhere here. We put this controller here. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, a little too close, but beautiful. Okay, so I just happened to be using the wrong rig. The rig that we had here was terrible. So let's actually go so far as to even, like, I'm going to delete this. And I'm going to delete the other one, too, that is marked as old. Just get that crap out of here. Because, no. There comes a point when you have to start kind of clearing out all the junk. And this is definitely, indeed, junk. Okay, so he looks a lot better. I do wish I could set him to a standard... Oh, is that what that is? Okay, I have an idea. If I right-click on this, set as layered default state. Can I see him now? Not quite. Okay, now I can see him. Oh, come on, buddy. I want you just in a standard... I'm trying to get him to start in the idle pose, instead of being underground here, ready to burrow upward. You can see that he's like at the beginning of that loading point, because that's the first frame that he has. What if I just like shift him somehow? Import animations. He's got Hmm. Well, crud. I can't think of any way to have him start in this, like, already up position. Maybe not the end of the world, but definitely something I was hoping to be able to do. At the very least, we did figure out how to get him to stand in place, kind of stand here and wobble back and forth and act like a demon should. So that's a good step forwards. Although, is it just me, or yeah, this wolf has no shadow. Wolfie, what you doing, buddy? Why don't you have a shadow? You should be casting and receiving shadows. And yet, is it just me, or is it not doing that? It really is just not casting any shadows onto this. If I look at the ground, no, this ground is receiving shadows. I can't figure out why this wolf is not casting a shadow. It should be. It really ought to be. Okay, so the bounds are a little weird on this. If we look at the difference between the demon, whose bounds are pretty obvious, pretty straightforwards, right? Versus the wolf's bounds are interesting, to say the least. Specifically, the rotation on it looks off. You have no rotation, you have no rotation. Then how does this bounds have a rotation? Is it the pelvis? Is that what's causing us to have rotation on these extents? And if I undo the rotation on that, does that fix it? No. That's bizarre. That is really bizarre. I have no understanding of why this thing is so messed up. And every time I set it, of course, since he's mid-animation, his extents go right back to how they were before. Oh well. More than a little bizarre, but it still contains the model well enough that I'm not too worried about it, honestly. I'm just really curious why he's not getting a shadow inside the shadow map. Let's see here. Shadow cascades. Okay, well, here's one difference. They're using a different render path. Oh, this is marked as unlit. There we go. There's our problem. Render paths. Shaded. Fix this, because that's incredibly annoying to have it be unlit. I'd say what idiot set, you know, this to unlit. Smack them, but... Oh, wait, that's me. Never mind. There's that. And your main color. That's fine. Ta-da! Shadows are fixed. Let's apply that, because I know that's going to be a pain in the butt. It's actually really cool. He's got a spawn animation. Sweet. Let's turn him into a monster. Let's make him actually usable in a fight and see how he does. So, full process end to end is not exactly short for us to get this tied in, but it's not exactly too crazy either. Someone wants to use my oven for the Halloween party tonight. I guess I should warn him we already have cupcakes galore, but details. No such thing as too many cupcakes. That much is obvious. Okay. Step 1. We need a prefab of this guy. You, my sir, are going to be Demon Grunt. Interesting. All the other characters don't get their mesh attached to this, but Demon Grunt does. Oh, there we go. If I re-import them, they get their information attached. Great. Okay, good old Demon Grunt. We need to make him match in every flippin' way possible. So, start with the obvious stuff. Go from there. He is a character. He has rights. Not really. So there's our character. His name is going to be Demon Grunt. Let's see here. Stats. Let's make him like crazy strong. And by crazy strong, I mean actually crazy strong. Let's make him not able to hit a ton. Lots of endurance. No knowledge. Very little reasoning. Lots of resolve, though. You set his mind on something. Allure, I wish I could set his looks to negative, but I can't. So we'll just go for 1s and 2s here. And we'll make his base health will be pretty high. Don't know why I felt the need to say that like that. Okay, basic character, great. Set, obvious. I keep saying things are obvious. I know a lot of this isn't actually obvious. And if anything doesn't make any sense, feel free, ask me about things. I am happy to answer what I can. Alright, we've got the character attached. We need combat actions and a combat animation controller, and that should be it. Which means we actually need to fill out probably the rest of this controller a little bit. Set as layered default state. Copy, create new blend tree in state. Interesting. Okay, so keep this moving. We need a death animation. Let's go back into all these animations we had for this sucker and actually get those tied in. For example, backhanded smash. Curious. Death, though. That's a state that we definitely want. What else? Enraged. getting hit from behind, getting hit from the front. Oh, interesting. You'll note that some of these actually have little human characters down here that shows what happens. Is that because I set this guy to like a humanoid rig at some point? Or somewhere in here I set this to a humanoid rig? Ah, interesting. So because some of these are set to humanoid animations, I can actually see the animations attached to it. I'm kind of tempted to set that for all of them because that's friggin' awesome. As it proceeds to do its thing. Mental. Currently working on video game tycoon sort of game. How would I recommend saving and storing objects? I have a lot of workers, but I'm having issues with saving them. Unity has a lot of utilities that go with serializing stuff. There's probably, and the problem is this is something I haven't done much exploration of myself, so I can't give you a good answer, unfortunately. But looking into their serialization, I bet there's a way to serialize your current game state as a scene. And then if you can reload that scene later, that would probably be a good save and load. That, or the other way to do it is either that or have everybody have a save and load function and pass them a JSON blob that they can fill out. That would be another easy way to go about it. Maybe that'll help. Oldie Moss, like the Halloween beard. Why, thank you. I've been working on it for, I think, a month now. Then we have No Shave November. So I'll work on it for another month, and then I'll see how I like it, honestly. We'll see if it sticks around after that. It's already starting to get to that point where it's like just almost in your mouth, but not quite. Kind of weird. It's probably off, but your question would be, do you have any object saving in the game yet? No, I don't. That's actually going to be one of the next major things I have to work on is we have to do character creation, and once we've got the characters getting created, we have to save them somehow. So that's kind of the next big task is letting somebody actually start a game, and then when you walk around, having it save that at certain... I'm not sure what I want to do in terms of setup, but what I should do is honestly find some way to either do a checkpoint save system or to just do like when you tell it save, it saves. I kind of like a checkpoint save system because if you want to do an Iron Man mode, I can delete the old save and then make a new one so that you essentially have to keep going. If somebody dies, your character is dead, too bad. You get to carry the corpse around for a little longer and then take care of it. Big guy, are you down here? Okay. Not coming up. Doesn't wanna. He's not entering his animator. Oh, there he goes. Demon Grunt, what are you doing? Like, really, what are you doing? Also, that should not just be... I can't help but note that we don't have transparency turned on, and therefore his material looks a little funny. Specifically that front flap of his. So we need to use a transparent diffuse. Oh, that actually looks a lot better. Yeah, I like the transparent diffuse a lot better. Transparent diffuse. Hey, look at that. Much better looking. Okay, so Why does he not want to start his animation now? What's up with that? Buddy, is your controller messed up? Is that what's going on? Because I can't help but notice that it goes from entry to something else. So maybe this does need to be the layer state default. If only so that when I hit play, he proceeds to do a whole lot of nothing. What's going on here? Things keep breaking on me, and I don't know what I'm doing to change them. Oh, you know what? It might be because his animator has a state that has no transition inside of it. You are going to require a new parameter that is a Boolean that is called die. And this transition is only going to happen in the following case. Conditions. There's a condition. Die is true. Congratulations, you've died. Otherwise, it should just sit here in idle, happy as can be. Run, what you doing? It says you're in an idle animation, but I don't believe you for some reason. Like something changed. We're back to a non-moving guy. Fox is saying your default is on idle. You should spawn first in the animator, maybe. Oh, I should put spawn first, I think is what you're saying. So essentially this, which I think this looks right. And if I look at the animator, he should do spawn and then idle. But for some reason, the only thing moving is his friggin' front flap. Nothing else. Animator, what is your root animator doing? And maybe that shouldn't be set. No, that looks fine. Okay. Why does the front flap work, but the rest of our demon grunt doesn't? What have we changed or messed up? Because we had it working when I just had a model. I just had the, let's just grab that again, because reasons. Sure, buddy, you can be over here. And your controller is this lovely demon grunt controller, right? I had this. And neither of them are doing anything. I feel like it's this stupid front flap that's somehow like consuming something. Also, I can't help but notice that the transparent diffuse does not have doesn't have the ability to attach the shadows to it, which is not that great. Why don't you want to play your animation? Clearly, the animator is running. Whenever I click on it, it for some reason resets, but we're going to ignore that. Oh, I set all of these to humanoid so that I could see what they look like. I bet they have to be generic though. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Hey! Bankalo beat me to it. And just because I only check the chat every once in a rare while. I'm sorry, guys. Watch that completely be it, because it's now a generic animation. There they go. Alright. Spare demon, go away. You, back underground. Alright, guys. Thank you for helping me fix it. We're back to, woo, okay. Little close. Okay, so him standing there rocking back and forth, great. If I mark him to die, block. Sweet. Let's think. What else? We've got to get a hit animation attached. So let's tack that in as well. So create state. No, we need to just use the. Let's just use the get hit from front. That, or we can say on hit, pick a random one. That might be kind of cool. We'll figure that one out at a later date. I'll call it hit front for now, because I understand that there are more than one animation that we can go to with this. And we need an animation going back as well. Both of these. So I guess the one going out should trigger on not die, but Boolean called hit. Or actually, let's call it take damage. Just to make me clean this up. Take damage. Cool. When you take damage, you only do that if take damage is true. Otherwise, when take damage is false, that's the only reason you would go back. And we want to attach a quick behavior here that has our hit undo attached to it. Take damage, take damage. And on death, we are going to attach another behavior that will actually check for, and when he finishes dying, it will just remove the corpse. Because we don't really have a better way to take care of that quite yet. It's on the list of things that I would like to do, but it's not something I've gotten done yet. So we've got a backhanded smash. Let's see, if I switch the rig to humanoid just for a moment, just so I can see what the animation looks like. Okay, so he kind of swings his arm outwards. Great. I definitely like that one. I wish I could get these same previews, but without needing to switch it out to humanoid version. So backhanded smash is one that should probably go in enraged. Figure. We're back into this. Raged, what do you look like? That the, yeah, that's the scream. Okay. That might have to be a spell that like boosts his abilities or does something mean. Because that seems like something that we could really, really make use of. Okay, so he's got a head bash, a punch run. Let's not forget to switch our rigs back, because that will bite us. Shuffle, spawn, strafe, left and right. A swipe. God, he's got a lot of possible attacks. Okay, let's just start putting attacks in here. There's swipe. We want the backhanded smash. And we also wanted, not the Enrage, but Head Bash. I like the sound of. If it's not obvious yet, I like beating up my players. Punch Run. Probably if he's running already, he could then do like a punch while he's going. Not sure I want that. The Roar sounds fantastic as well. Let's get that in there. If anything, if I have a animator full of things and I can just go through and turn things on and off as I want later, that's fine. There we go. Get all of our states nice and cleanly set up. Make a bunch of transitions that transition back, transition out, transition back, out, transition back, because that's what all of these are. And a bunch of variables, bunch of booleans mostly. Wipe. Head bash. Roar. And backhanded smash. I like to keep them named similarly, if only so that it's easy for me to tell which animation we should be going to and from based on the variables alone. That information alone should tell me exactly what I need to know. So on a swipe, being true, I'm actually tempted to leave this with no conditions. That might make this easier for me. Less conditions to handle. So backhanded smash is true. Head bash is true. And roar. True. Cool. Demon Grunt now needs some attacks. So we can give him the combat animation controller that says when he takes damage, hey, it's called take damage. And when he dies, it's called die. That's kind of a duh thing, but it's something we need to do nonetheless. And now, here's the fun part. Okay, let's put swipe in here as a, I don't know. Swipe is easy for him to hit with, but won't do a ton of damage. Versus a combat action called smash, head bash. Let's do the head bash, which has a low hit bonus in comparison, but does a lot of damage. And this is head bash. And so the one thing I'm missing right now, the part that I don't like, you'll note combat actions have no way of specifying who they target. That's not something I like. So maybe, just maybe, not only can we throw this guy into a scripted fight, but it'll be interesting to try and get an AoE attack attached to him, because I feel like that's what Roar should do. Or that we should at least eventually be able to do something like have these AoE attacks that eventually will be able to take care of multiple party members at once. So we are going to add a scripted fight here, and we are going to get in a scripted fight with a prefab of this monster. Hello. There we go. With a demon grunt. Singular. Simple. Should be a good clean, whoops, fight. It'll be a clean fight once his buddy leaves. Okay, so I enter the fight. Hey, there he is. Ready to kick some ass. So I'm going to take a bunch of swings at him. So he's not taking damage immediately. I'm not a huge fan of that. Also, he didn't attack in return. I couldn't help but notice that. Oop, there he goes. Try that again, but just dodge a ton so I can see him do some attacks. That is a bug. Not even a bug I thought of. It just kind of showed up just now. Where is that? Combat window has its own UI, I believe. There it is. Between each person taking their turn, we don't want them to take time if they're doing a non-action, like dodging. So, where is that process combat? There it is. For each person, we don't always want to wait. Let's see here. So here's each person doing their action. And then we wait. I'm not a huge fan of this. Specifically, let's see here. If it's a player character, let's put a boolean here. Should wait is going to be true normally. And what I'm going to do here is we're going to say, well, before we remove it, should wait is going to be equal to the action list player character. So this is an action. If this is a dodge action, where's our player combat actions? This is a player dodge action, I believe is the term I should actually. There's an item action. Okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm correct here. It is a player dodge. If it contains the key. Oh, I see what's happening here. Should wait actually should be getting set to the action list containing a key for that player character. So if the player character doesn't have an action that actually requires processing, we shouldn't actually wait. There we go. That'll speed up our combat a little bit. More than a little bit, actually. Hey look, it's a fight. He head bashes. Note how the head bash isn't actually happening. Okay. We're gonna watch this very closely if we can. Okay, when head bash is true. So we can see all the transitions. Tell everyone to dodge. And I can't help but notice how it gets set for such a short period of time. It literally is set one frame and set back the next. I wonder how everyone else skips straight to it so easily. Well, the condition is true, but it should trigger on its own. I mean, that's the point of these state machines. And that's kind of why I'm curious about why or how these aren't triggering for me. You can see here, that one triggers, as it should. But what causes it to, does it have some interrupt that it can do? Ordered interruption is check marked. Okay, let's look at his again. Do I have any kind of ordered interruption turned on for this? Okay, has exit time is turned on. That might be it. What if I flip that off for each of these? I like how he keeps reinitializing, and each time he reinitializes, he respawns out of the ground. Okay, cool. We've turned off all the has exit times. There we go. That looks good. Much better. No delay there. Oh god. Oh, that hurt. Okay, let's try and kill this thing now. And let's move the animator back here so that we can actually use the game. Oh shit. Okay. Well. Unity does the state machine transitions automatically. It shouldn't be too bad. Cool. Found gold, got experience. Okay, we didn't get experience. Did I not say he was worth any? Whoops. Make him worth experience. Now, I don't know whether or not his controller kept those changes. It looks like they did. And there we go. We have successfully added a demon grunt, which is pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. That was not difficult once I got past the initial issues with, oh, hey, you know, kind of hard to use. Oh, one more piece of information we forgot. We haven't tried casting a spell on him, so that obviously is causing him to have a little trouble. Buddy, where'd you go? Because I need to attach a bounding box to you. Nothing too crazy or difficult, but it needs to be enough that I can... I'm just going to work with him underground. Let's see here. You. Oh, right. It should be a component of physics. Specifically, let's go with... So a capsule might not be the worst thing in the world to attach. The other way to do this would be a box collider, right? Physics, box collider. This is blatantly incorrect. And my only curiosity is just whether this follows him or not. That's really my big worry, is that it won't actually follow him. 0.8 -1. There we go. Let's see if that actually follows him upwards. Hey, buddy. Your physics object look. Okay, your physics object is still underground. Okay, so that should be 1, not -1. Because after he's done spawning, we need to make sure that he's standing within it. And that is pretty friggin' close. We can do some minor adjustments here, but otherwise I think it's set. And enough that we can call it complete. There we go, 0.75 and 1.5. Cool. Let's apply these changes just so that he doesn't lose any of that information. And that should allow us to cast spells on him. I think that's the last thing we had to do to him. So, Cleric, Firebolt on that guy. Hey, look at that. Mage, also Firebolt on that guy. And since I don't think anybody's really going to notice, what I want to do is get this fixed up, his little crotch piece there. You'll note that if I bring him above ground for a moment, you'll notice that he has a shadow. But that the shadow he has is also causing this kind of like a loincloth to be completely transparent. And the problem is, if I grab the material that's attached to him and add transparency, that then causes his, I believe, at least, that causes his shadow to disappear. Not what I wanted. I wanted a transparent diffuse. Yeah, you'll note no shadow. He is now gone from the list of things, and that's, I believe, because it changes where he is in the render pattern. If I go back to something like diffuse, you'll note he's now a part of the shadow map. So what I think I'm going to do, because I don't think anyone will notice if I do this more than anything else, is we're going to cheat a little bit. Not a ton, just a little. You'll notice we have a standard material. I'm just going to make a copy of this material, if I can. It shouldn't be too hard to create a new material if not. Demon Grunt Loin thing. Loincloth. Basic transparent hues. It's going to use his Demon Grunt texture. Get this render path fixed. And the front flap, surprise, surprise, is going to use a different material than we've been using. Yes, it removes the shadow. No, I don't think anyone will notice, aside from you lovely people who are sitting here at home watching me do this. I don't think anyone else is going to take any offense to the fact that his loincloth does not cast a shadow. Especially since most of the time it doesn't look like you'll be able to tell. As long as his body is kind of in this state of having shadows cast downwards-ish on him, I think we'll be fine. Cool. Alright guys, thank you for joining me. It's been a good 2 hours. We're rounding up a little by about 10 minutes, but I'm happy to have accomplished this. I'm actually going to go so far as to remove that fight from the scene. I have more characters to create, so this isn't... I'll take care of those on a different time and day, For those of you who are new, this is what I do. I make games. I do game things. I'm working on a dungeon crawler next up on the list of things. I've got lockpicking skill. I need to figure out how the mini game for that is going to work. I want to add in treasure chests. And that building that I walked inside and I could see outside of from the inside, I want to fix that so that the walls on the interior look nice, so that I have props on the inside, and maybe even a character who hangs out inside and will give you the first quest, or will do something along the lines of, you know, screaming like a little girl when you break into their house. Something like that. So, we've got plenty left to do, especially if you consider how much content has to get made for this game. But if you like what you see, then please hit the follow button below. I've also added a Twitter account, of which I meant to announce that I was going to be streaming today and totally forgot. In the future, I'll try and be a little better about that. Also, my Twitch, what is it? The Turbo expired. And Twitch is now deleting all or a lot of the videos from my archive. If you want to see those videos anyway, they will be on my YouTube channel. Especially the one I just put up today. I've got 3 videos I'm behind on, counting today's. So I'll try and get those all uploaded today. If you want to see this game from front to back, or at least from front until now, that is the place to see it. So, announcements aside, thank you guys for joining me. It's been great getting all this done today. And hopefully I will see you either on the morning stream or the next weekend stream. Take care. Have a good day. Catch you guys later.